In some of the other techniques of method acting, you're working to recreate something that's already happened. There's merit to it. I'm not saying there's not. What appealed to me is to be present.
Do you have for performers embarking on their careers?
Oh, go with happiness. To just be true to yourself. If it feels like it's too much, then do something else. But I think what keeps what I've seen, certainly with other friends who have become uberly successful here in Hollywood, who I'd gone to school with at Neighborhood Playhouse, is to really, you really got to love it, I think, in many ways. To put up with, certainly from an acting career, we'll say, from other performers. I mean, I think most artists are intuitively know that they've got something to offer, or whatever that voice is, to really connect to that true, what's being always said now is that your authentic voice, to let your authentic voice be heard, which I think is further, similarity to arrive to yourself on any given day, which is basically what Iyengar said to me. Just arrive. You have to arrive to yourself truthfully, honestly, and speak your truth, and keep going. It's going to be, it's not always going to be easy. It's great for some people. They just boom, great, and then have huge success. The friends that I know that have had huge success have maintained that discipline, keeping the discipline of the techniques that we may have in place, physical, voice, breath work, all of it, and to keep going if you've got the wherewithal. And if it becomes too much, and if you've got something else you'd rather do, then do that. You know what I mean? Especially if it becomes more of a burden than a joy. I think as long as we can find joy in what we're doing. I think sometimes also, a lot of times people, I see this, I've experienced it, I've gone down that road myself, where it becomes, you're going to audition after audition after audition. I'm looking from the actor point of view. You're going to auditions and you're told, no, you're not good enough, you're not good enough. It's like, okay, but if you can really turn that around a little bit, what a wonderful joy to be able to be given the opportunity for those 2 minutes or 1 minute of an audition, whether it's now online or it's in person, that it's giving you an opportunity to work or exercise your craft. And if you can really arrive there and be there, how wonderful. Whether or not they're buying it, whether that market's buying it, or, at this point, how many artists, painters have we seen over the centuries? Their work wasn't recognized until years later, but they kept going and lived in poverty, but it didn't stop them from letting that expression come out of what was meant to come out. So,
what are the principal tenets of the Meisner technique?
Enjoying the video so far? Hit the subscribe button below for notifications of future videos. Done it? Cheers! Now back to the show.
Part of Meisner's approach, especially when we're beginning, is the repetition with another actor. So you're engaging in a one-to-one dialogue based on your observation of what's going on with the other actor. So it usually starts out with, you're wearing a black hat. Then you would repeat, I'm wearing a black hat, or you're wearing a black hat. It's like, and so you use the same words back and forth. So it goes through a range, through that exploration. It can go through quite a range of emotion based on observation and hopefully based on reality. So it just doesn't turn into a fist fight, if anything, or a brawl or but if that happens, not a fist fight, but if there's a more heated engagement, I mean, it is being, again, it's really underscoring a technique to underscore, the present, being present in the situation as it is, and then using that, I think, to how do you move that into living truthfully under an imaginary circumstance. So if these are this is what the writer, the script, the screenwriter has put in place. These are the characters. This is their situation on any given day. This is their scene partner, which could be a husband, a wife, a child, a grandmother, a storekeeper, delivery man, whatever it is, whether it's one word or two words. What is the true essence of living truthfully under that imaginary circumstance? Whereas I think in some of the other techniques of method acting, you're working to recreate something that's already happened. There's merit to it. I'm not saying there's not. What appealed to me is to be present, to be in the present. So I'm not trying to recreate something that happened in the past, but to do it within the parameters, the scope of living truthfully under that circumstance. So that's how you can do a sustained, I think, piece of theater over and over and over again. You know what I mean? So that even though it's a different day, you can have a different nuance, maybe a different performance, a little something is a little bit different. Once we have the technique of everything underpinned with voice training, physical body, or whatever is required, so that you can have those nuanced performances and sustained performances. I think sometimes when you explore an emotion that's happened in the past, and I've worked with that, I mean, you can draw upon that. I think, for instance, the scene requires, and then he breaks into tears. Okay. So if I'm killing, my best friend in my mind every day in order to come to a state of tears, eventually that kind of grows old. You know what I mean? It's like it grows stale. But if I can be present, that what is the circumstance that is taking that person to a state of tears, and to really find that by observing the other actor, being cognizant of what the circumstances are, to really let that affect you. Because I think what the repetition does, what I was saying earlier, I think what that does is eventually it comes to affect you deeply beyond just the words. When you really start to communicate with that other actor personally, one-to-one, and you're really seeing, and you can go through that whole range, that I think in that way, so I don't know if that answers the question, but that would be my kind of like take on it, and why I continue to explore that. But
beautiful. So did Meisner have any particular thoughts on voice production?
Well, we had a voice coach when I was at Neighborhood Playhouse at the school. I mean, Meisner himself, when I met him, he had a larynx. Am I saying that properly? I never know how to say that word properly. He had a little voice box here, due to what he had gone through in his life, and so he, I mean, in terms of when I was with him and those classes, I mean, we went specifically to we had voice classes, for diction, for vocal production, to make sure you've got the breath, because you want to be, you want to have the breath to get through whatever you got to get through. If you're going through a Shakespearean monologue, or as a singer, I'm sure if you're singing, you need that sustained voice to be able to get through. So it was a really important thing. So we did what do you call it? We had a voice coach, so it was important. But from him specifically, it wasn't like, you got to go work on your voice. I mean, it was assumed that that was part of the training, as part of the school training.
So tell us a bit about your training in Hokkaido and how this blended in with your theatre training.